What's up, everyone? Welcome back to the Collider Media Studio at the Cinema Center at South by Southwest 2025. I am beyond thrilled to be sitting with the team behind Ash. Huge congratulations on your movie. Love sci-fi horror. This just like kept me on my toes in a real fresh way. So huge congrats.
Hell yeah.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you so much.
So clearly I know what your movie is about, but because we're celebrating it as a film festival debut, our audience might not know yet. So I feel like you might be ready for this. Can you give the brief synopsis?
Aaron did a really good one last
Oh, you want me to
time.
go?
Yeah.
Okay, here. Are you ready? Are you ready? Okay, so we have a girl. She wakes up in a base camp on another planet, and she's very beaten up, played by this brilliant young actress. She's very beaten up. She's very confused. She doesn't quite remember who she is. She's realizing very quickly that her entire crew has been murdered. And then someone shows up on the outside of the base camp and she attacks him, and that happens to be me. And she's trying to figure out if she can trust him. He's trying to figure out if he can trust her. And so, you know, it's kind of a
cat and mouse.
It's
Yeah.
a cat and mouse.
Job well
Yeah.
done. One of my favorite parts of getting a synopsis, especially for a movie like this, is it shows me exactly where to stop so I don't spoil anything.
Right.
Smart. So now I know
Yeah,
the good
stop
spot.
there.
So coming back your way.
Sure.
I am a big nerd and I read the press notes and I read everybody's director's statement. And there's a couple things in yours that really caught my eye here.
Oh, yeah?
One of the things that you brought up was a conversation you had with Guillermo del Toro,
that's
who
gonna-
love.
That's going to track.
I think he's like a ray of light in this industry.
Yeah.
And he told you, don't direct the movies that you need to make, direct the movies that need you to make them. And I love that thought. And I think everybody should
And the
hold
way
tight
he
to
said it too, it just was like, it was just perfect.
He has a way
You're
of
just like,
saying
"Oh,
everything
man,
like that. That's
okay."
perfect. When this idea came your way, what was it about it that made you think, like, I need to make this movie?
That's a good question. For me, it was just the way that it had a sense of world building that was there, but it wasn't necessarily complete. And it was just like the inklings of some really cool ideas that I was just like, oh, but if it had that, and you add a little bit of this, and it started to form, and I just felt like it needed my touch, or else something bad was gonna happen.
I agree, actually. I totally agree.
I'm such a nerd for world building. I'm also looking at your jacket, and I even like
Hey.
jotted down. I just like it's a simple thing, but I love logo design and things like that. For each of you, when it comes to the world building, even if something isn't actually seen or directly heard in the film, is there anything about what's going on and their backstories that I guess you held especially tight to, and now we can feel it informing your performance or the world overall?
Well, one thing that people probably won't know off top, because we didn't really get and touch on it too much, is that, you know, in this world, there's a bunch of private companies flying to space or through space and trying to habitate planets and stuff. But this company in particular is kind of on a smaller scale, lower budget, you know, and they have kind of ghetto equipment and on their base. So all the things around them are kind of not working well anyway.
But they're doing their thing, you know. They're
trying
doing
their
their
hardest.
thing.
They're trying
Make
their
like a
hardest.
cinematic universe now, and each film could be about a different company and how it changes
There you
based on the
go.
resources
Yeah.
that they have. How about for the two of you, something maybe about, you know, their backstory and even how they got involved in this company that is informing what you do in the
I
movie?
mean, it's pretty for me. I mean, it's pretty clear that these characters are just trying to survive, just like everybody else, right? So just fighting
You
for a better
also
life.
were on your isolation tip. You'd been away in the orbital for a while, so you came into it.
Yeah. He's just kind of doing his thing. You know, he's floating around, orbiting the planet, just kind of by himself, listening to some sort of classical music, maybe. I don't know.
I would believe.
But yeah.
I just think that isolation is obviously a big through line throughout the movie, and it really it's about the human experience of isolation, truly. And I think that's something that everyone can relate to, and it's a fascinating subject to sort of dive into, because at the end of the day, very rarely, especially nowadays, do we get the experience of that feeling. And as an actor, to be able to experience that and sort of dive into it, and it's a scary area. It's a scary space, and the possibility of a future of you completely alone, and what that does to the brain is really, it was kind of exciting as an actor because it gives you so much leeway to kind of play with the performance. There's no right or wrong.
And like being out in New Zealand too, we were all isolated,
and we were in that warehouse.
Any of our
24/7
stuff, or our peoples, or anything. So it was, you got to feel that a bit.
That kind of tees up another quote that I wrote down from you, because I love horror, but in particular, you were talking about survival horror. You said, over the years, we've seen many different interpretations of science fiction, so many beautiful, wondrous, terrifying visions, yet so many of them fall short in an element that I've longed for, survival horror. So like, what did you think was missing in that subgenre, and how did you kind of want to fill that hole in a fresh way with Ash?
Well, I think there's some survival horror things there, but I think especially just there's a certain kind of DNA that exists since Alien, I think, best ever. But I think once that movie came out, that just kind of altered our perception of what a sci-fi horror thing should be. And it's like that's foundation. Every movie has the same like alien looking sets and everything. It just kind of like infected us. And I think, as much as I loved it, I did at every point try to be like, all right, let's just try not to do Alien with this. Let's try not to. All right, we got to do a little bit of Alien right here.
It's always an interesting balance to hit, because really, like, every film is standing on the films that came before it. You need to use just enough, but not overdo it, so you still feel fresh and one of a kind.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, the set really did take us there.
Yes,
the
it did.
lighting every single day, the reds, the blues. It just was, I don't know, so hypnotic.
And it's also my favorite genre of movies. Survival horror is my favorite. It's always been what I find most, and I don't know, it just taps into the psyche of some dark shit of our lives, where we're like, we always sort of, again, just as we ponder, it's all existentialism, right? At its finest. And I think that the sense of if the world were to end, if we were to be the one left at the end, like all these ideas I think are fascinating to the people. And I think that's why these movies do so well. People are like, go to it as like a moth to a flame, And
it's transportive too. Things get a little too real on Earth. So I think it's sometimes nice to get off the planet.
Oh, it's so true. Yeah. I'll build on that very briefly. Can you maybe each name your favorite survival horror movie, and then also tell me what your chances of surviving that movie would be? I think about this stuff all the time.
Me too.
Oh God.
It's hard.
I mean, is 2001? Would that be considered survival? I mean, he's surviving. He's the last bit of Hal. Hal's pretty fucked up. Yeah.
I mean, for me, The Shining, because it is a survival movie.
Yeah, The Shining.
I mean, that sort of complete third act it's survival at its finest, with a mix of psychological thriller that this movie has as well, is like nothing that you think is real or not. And I think that when you send the audience into that spin, it's the best combination.
I feel like no one's surviving The Shining.
No one.
Like, I know people do survive The Shining, but really no one would.
Yeah. Losing your mind is the kind of coolest survival movie of like losing sense of reality. I find that more terrifying than being chased by.
Oh, without a doubt.
Yeah.
Like, I always play that question with the
descent of your brain and sort of losing self-control and knowing who you are. That's terrifying.
Yeah. Do you have an example? Well, you said Alien.
I did, and it's probably Alien, but I'm also going to say High Tension, because as a random one. And The Descent, actually, since we just said The Descent, that just was like, oh God,
really
when I
good.
saw that movie. Oh,
I love
The
that.
Descent was, oh man, that was good.
Yeah.
All right, so I'm going to touch on your experience working with them as their actors, directors here, because I feel like we often use the phrase, like, what did the director bring out of the actors? But I love the fact that it can go both ways. So what is something about the two of them as actors that brought something new out of you as a director, or maybe added another tool to your directing toolkit that now you can use on another movie?
I think working with them, they've been through it all. They've seen it, they've done it, and it was really cool to just be around people who are just super passionate about their work. You know, I always say as a joke, it's just like, if I was around anyone who cared about my work as much as I do, things would be insane. You know, so I felt like that happened. You know, and that was it was a really cool thing, and I think I just learned just how to, I guess, try to keep my spontaneous brain, but still still accommodate to the actors who are having to deal with that, you know, and like still try to navigate that, because I'm always like, oh, you know, wouldn't it be cool if we did this? Or what if we tried one of these? And Aaron looked at me like, what if we do what? You know? we got to do what? So I was like, all right, let me figure out, so I learned a lot about that in my own process.
That kind of creative enthusiasm is the best. I know you got to continue to get the work done, but also never lose that.
But, you know,
that was the nice thing about honestly working with him is I remember the first phone call that Aaron and I had together after having our individual meetings with him. And we were both like, wow, I truly, and I want to say this to give him the props that he deserves, because we know a lot of first-time directors and people that have ideas, but having a level of vision that he had, it was so clear, so intentional. And that's really rare when you've done 1, 2, like you're at the beginning of your newborn director, and he just gave this sense of complete cool, calm, and collected, and it was very inspiring. And then on the day of the set, it was really a collaborative effort, because it was sort of a script that had the bones and it was great, but it really, when you're playing with a psychological thriller, it's all about real nuances that you can add on the day.
Or take away.
Yeah. And it really takes a team of caring a lot. And I think that everyone in this team really cared. We came in, you know, Aaron came so prepared, had so many ideas. So did he. I mean, his vision board was spectacular. And this movie, as we say, is made for no money. It's an independent movie. We did it in the back of a dealership in a warehouse in New Zealand. Out of passion, because we believed in him. He believed in me. I believed in us.
We go way back.
Yeah.
She's been a dear friend of mine for north of a decade. And when this was presented to us at the same time, we just had each other's backs through the whole process. And truly, it's been such a dream.
And you need that, as you know. Yeah. When you're in movies that are so emotionally and physically demanding as this one was for everyone on set, especially because it's, again, a small budget movie, so everything's practical, the whole team has to be well oiled. If you're around good people and friends that are going to be there for your emotional support when you're free falling that way, it just, that's undeniably the best gift that anyone could ever give you.
Ugh, I love how you just put that. I have to wrap with you all in a moment, so I have to end with a couple of unrelated questions. You know what's going to happen. Actually, the first one I'm really excited about because it's for you, Aaron, and it's not necessarily coming directly from me, but it's coming from one of my Collider team members who is just like A+ and a big reason why like we're alive and thriving and why we have the voice in this industry that we do.
Collider.
It's Kuso over there. And his burning question for you was, do you know how Westworld was meant to end?
Damn.
God, just rip off that Band-Aid.
Jesus, like early in the morning too.
I do have kind of a sense, and there is a world where maybe, you know, we get to tell the rest of that story.
So I'm like, maybe don't say nothing.
Yeah, don't
right?
say
I'm not going to say anything, but
give it another 10 years.
I'm still holding on to the idea that we will be able to complete that story. It was very well flushed out. I knew sort of the broad strokes of it all, and it was really cool. But we'll see.
I very much like that reason for not spilling all the details right there. I respect that. I'm going to come your way for 3 body problem. So I guess like 1, does the new season start filming soon? And 2, because you got the double renewal, does that mean seasons 2 and 3 will be filmed back to back?
That is correct. That is correct. We start pretty soon. I'm very, very excited. I'm been speaking to Dan and Dave about, you know, to me, my favorite books are the 2 and 3, especially 3. 3 is insane. So we are doing 2 and 3 back to back. And I think that's all I can say.
I'll take that.
I am very excited.
I like that. I'm going to add one more for you because I love Boots Riley. And That
Oh,
that
yeah.
film just, it sounds
insane.
It's called, I Love Boosters. It
Yeah.
just sounds so interesting, and that ensemble is just like absolutely
Unbelievable.
wild. So the first question that I had was I was reading what the synopsis was.
Nothing that you read will be able to like transport you to what it really is.
Just so our viewers know, it follows a group of shoplifters who take aim at a cutthroat fashion maven. And then when I look at the genres that like IMDb prescribes to it, it said adventure and comedy, which makes
Yes.
sense to me. But then it also says sci-fi.
Yes.
Are you able to tease what the
No,
sci-fi?
I
had a feeling.
can't.
I had a
but
feeling.
it's definitely sci-fi. I've been on a bender of sci-fis, and all I can say is, by the way, he's so excited about our movie. He was so sweet about you, and vice versa. He's the best, man. He's just like the most creative human being, and kind, and he would walk in with the best fashion. I was just like, I have a strict rule of only working with fashionable directors, and it's been living up. But he was in that cast. I mean, it was really, there was a day that like Will Poulter was there, who by the way is incredible in his new movie, and Kiki, who could have me on stitches 24/7, and Naomi and Taylor Page and Poppy, and then Demi was incredible in it, and Lakeith is just like deliciously and utterly Boots Riley, and it's absolute finest. And we laughed. It was my last day. I was like, I don't want to go, and he's like, don't go, let's figure it out. Like, we're like, how can we, because we became a family. Like, we really had such a good time on that set, and I'm very excited. I'm very excited about that movie.
Deliciously and utterly Boots Riley is exactly what I needed to hear. I'm very excited for that. I'm excited for the world to experience Ash. Huge congratulations. And like, keep surrounding yourselves with the best in this business, because I feel like we get the benefit of that on screen in the finished product. So congratulations.
I love
That means
you.
a lot. You're so sweet.